Okay, hi everyone, here's the next video. This is the flash tip part 2, where we're talking about what effect Aperture has on flash. Now the first thing to know is that if you put any form of diffuser onto your flash, like here I'm using a little beauty dish, but I also have the dome diffuser as well, or the Omni Bounce diffuser, that will also take a lot of power out of the flash. Well, it won't take any power out of the flash, but it'll mean less brightness will be able to come through. It soaks up about maybe half a stop of brightness. Then adding this on as well, that's going to take a bit of brightness out of the flash as well, because it's having to bounce around a bit more things. So you usually, if you put any stuff on the front of your flash, you usually need to make it a bit more powerful. Same if you're putting it into an umbrella or into a softbox. Softbox will definitely be taking some brightness out of it. But in this case, what we're doing is we're looking at it in a manual setting. So I've got it so it's always going to be a certain amount of brightness. So a quarter power or a half power or a full power. If you're using TTL settings on your camera, what that does is the flash comes out, hits you, and then it reflects into the camera, into what I'm shooting just now. And then the camera goes, okay, I need it brighter or I need it lower. And it will it'll tell the flashes to change. But that's not really going to help us in this video. This is just a quick video to show you how Aperture affects the flash. Okay, so what I shall do is on the back of my camera, I shall set it up so you can see everything here. Okay, so at the moment I have it, so it's fairly underexposed. It's a 90th of a second and it's at f4.8. I've also got it so it's on a white balance of flash as well, just so at the moment these lights in here are very orange. Meanwhile the flash that you get with your Nikon speed lights, that is a normal temperature of around about 5000 K, which is the same as daylight sunshine. But here this is very orange, so they will look a bit strange. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to have the flash, so that's the main power, or that's the main light source. So in the back of the camera, you can see it's already fairly underexposed, but what we can do is we can change the shutter speed, not the aperture, change the shutter speed to minus, or to 250th of a second, and that will mean that it will be a very dark picture. Now you see the only light that's coming in is actually the light from that flash, but that light over there, and that's straight from it. But that's really not going to be affecting the brightness, as you can barely see any rest of the room there. So now, if we're starting to use the flash, and at the moment, let's check the settings. So in commander mode, I've got group A, manual mode, and it's at half power. So that's that flash over there. That's going to be shooting at half power. Stick on timer setting and get in position. Okay, so this flash on half power here. Now to change that, what we can do is we can lower the brightness of this flash, but then we're going to be lowering the brightness of everything. And we kind of want the flash to still be bright and keeping everything nice and dark. So what we need to do is we need to change something else. And the way you can change the brightness of the flash is just by changing the aperture. So what happens is the aperture gets bigger or smaller, and if it's big it lets a lot of light in, if it's small it lets very little amount of light in. So an f1.4 is big and an f22 is tiny. And a tiny hole will only let a little bit of this flash bounce off me and go back into the camera. So, if on the back of the camera we change the aperture, so let's make this 2 times darker. So if we go from 4.8, one stop is 6.7, and 2 stops is 9.5. So that means it's going to be 4 times less bright. Let's take a photo now. So this should hopefully not be totally blown out on the side of my face. And as you can see, there's a lot of more darkness in the whole picture. Only thing that is lighting me now is the flash. And if we zoom in closer, you can see that it's not totally blowing out the side of my face. So that is a lot better there. So in conclusion, Aperture, in regards to flash, controls flash very, very well. If you want it to be darker, you make that aperture smaller, so you make it an f f16 instead of an f2.8. If you want it brighter, you just quickly change the aperture. And that's what a lot of people will shoot. They will always shoot, if they're doing flash photography, in aperture mode. Or manual mode and aperture mode are usually the two ones that people will use if they're using flash photography. As it's a lot easier and quicker to quickly change the aperture than go into the menu settings and change the power of that flash and the power of this flash and all that kind of stuff, where you can just quickly go click, 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 and now that's going to be half as bright. So that's a little tip. If you're doing flash photography, you usually always have it in aperture mode or manual mode. So hope that helps. Cheers, bye bye.